What's good, Phinish, and what's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. And tonight I'm joined by Sordi of the Fins or Die podcast, which is you can catch sporadically on Spotify and all major podcast outlets, as well as the man who makes Tua stands pull out their pitchforks and torches and bang on his door, Jeremy Klump of Phinphanatic. How you boys doing tonight?
Doing good, bro.
We're good here.
They're already getting at Jeremy Klump Jeremy Klump the hater.
Oh, they're ready for him. They're out for blood tonight.
It's gonna be rough.
I don't know. What stands have turned into vampires, bro. They want your blood.
What do I have to do? Teach me your ways for people, because you critique Tua in certain ways, not in a bad way. Like, it's not like what do I have to do to have people not think that I hate Tua? I don't know. People tweeting me every day. They're like, "You hate Tua." I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's crazy.
What I do is I basically go at and defend him against people who are kind of irrational about him.
I do, though. That's what's crazy. There's people that Sosa's joking because he's defended me, actually.
Yeah, he is joking.
I've seen some people defend me and say, like, I defend Tua all the time, dude. I dunked on Joy Taylor. I started the dunking on Joy Taylor, and now people are like, you hate Tua. I don't get it, man. It's honestly, I blame myself, though. I had to open my big mouth and say that Aaron Rodgers is better than Tua, and I should have never said it. It's what really set Dolphins fans off.
Bro, you knew when you wrote that article you dropped today that Tua fans are gonna lose their shit.
Dude, but I really, honestly, I thought maybe it had a chance to do what happened. But at the same time, I was like, someone's gonna open it and they're gonna read it first. It states in the article how much I love Tua, and I think Tua is going to be good. I don't believe in any of it. It's just a question worth asking. It's crazy to me. I don't know. It's fun, but at the same time, it's a little draining. But I am not a Tua hater. I think Tua is going to be great, and everything's going to be fine. But yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
Jeremy Klump is pleading to all of you Tua stance. Let him know how he can cater to your needs so you don't hate on him, all right?
That's all I want. I want to go on Twitter and not have someone like tell me that that my favorite today, someone's like, deep down you hate Tua. Like, dude, I don't know. You guys know me. I open my mouth, I say what's on my mind. Like, dude, I'm not hiding anything. I would tell you if I hated Tua. I do not one bit hate Tua. I think Tua is gonna be good. So we'll end it on that. I'm done talking about it. I like Tua.
What's your advice, Sordi, on the matter?
Well, I mean, I think Klump is doing a pretty good job at like going after the irrational Tua haters. I have to agree. You did go after Joy, and then Joy responded back, and then we all really engaged. I remember I kind of jumped on it too. Yeah. But you do that, and people see. Like, I'm surprised people don't see that more and just say, like, he supports Tua, he likes him, but. Sometimes you're going to write an article about the hypotheticals of what happens if Tua really sucks this year. And me and you were DMing, we were talking about it. Like, it's a fair question to ask. Just for fun little speculation, being that it's the beginning of June and we're not going to be in training camp for a month and a half. But I don't think a lot of people actually read the article, and their sirens went off when they thought it was Tua criticism, and their sirens went off before actually reading.
They saw the word Tua and stinks, and it was over. It was over.
Word.
Yeah, it is. And Sordi, honestly, though, reason you asked Sordi what he could do, dude, don't let Sordi play a victim here. He picks on this, and he makes it. He pokes the fire, dude. He puts gasoline on it, and he trolls people into making them think I hate people more too. Don't let him lie to you.
I put some gasoline on sometimes, but. For the people that know me, they know I'm trolling. I guess it's the people who don't know me that well. They're like, "Oh shit, we're okay. Let's go on this Klump dude right now."
What was great is say my tweet about how President Joe Biden's going to allow Tua stands to be one of the classifications for medical marijuana. Sordi had to reply and act like it wasn't funny, and then this guy DMs me and goes, "Just so you know, I thought that was hilarious." But he poked the bear, and dude, so many people were like, "Oh, Sordi's right. This isn't funny." Like, oh, it was fun. It's good though. It's okay. At the end of the day,
stirring the pot, Sordi?
What'd you say?
Why are you stirring the pot, bro?
Oh,
you gotta keep it fresh, man. You gotta keep it fresh. Like, I'm in between work calls. I go on Twitter. I see Klump put something up. I'm like, all right, I gotta make this guy's life miserable for like 15 minutes with the replies.
It's great. It's fun, though. It's fun.
Nice to know you're being paid to stir the pot, too.
Yeah, there you go.
This guy's using work time just to create havoc in Klump's life. That's what real friends are, bro. Right there.
For sure.
So I mean, it's a good question. Why can't we all just get along, right? So, in regards to Tua, though, I don't know. I think, people are going to see what we're about to talk to tonight, what we're about to talk about, and they're probably going to, we're probably going to have some pushback in the comments, not against us, but against Jason La Confora for what we're about to talk about. But, at the end of the day, guys, there's just one thing that can basically sum this all up, guys. I don't know a better way to say it than this right here.
And I'm Reginald Denny. And we're here to give you young people a friendly word of advice. Always think before you act.
Right? See, it's not whether you win or lose, but is it over when the fat lady sings? Can't we all just get along?
That's the theme for tonight. Can't we all just get along? So let's hop right into it let's add some context, because before people see, the thing I was seeing is when people report something that like Tua stands or Miami Dolphin fans in general don't like, automatically they go for that person's credibility, right? Yeah. Automatically it's like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, Klump, when you told me about the Philadelphia Eagles making an offer for Deshaun Watson, Jason La Confora dropped an article the very next morning stating the same thing. And in that same article, he said, we made sure to get back to 6 to what? Draft one of the Alabama boys, right?
Yep.
And so, you can't pick and choose what fits your narrative here. And I've been on record as saying I believe Flores didn't even want to draft Tua. I believe he didn't want to draft a quarterback at 5, let alone Tua. But there's something interesting in this little piece here. Oh, that's the wrong one. That Jason La Confora said, and people haven't seen it yet. So there's people in the comments saying they haven't seen this report yet. So basically, he put out a thing predicting a bunch of like MVP awards, Defensive Player of the Year awards, all that jazz. So when it came to Tua, he said there are plenty of smart and clued in people who work in high-ranking spots with NFL teams. Now, understand the context, people. Jason La Confora is not saying smart and clued in people who work in a high-ranking spot with the Miami Dolphins. He's saying with NFL teams who believe that the Dolphins coach, Brian Flores, is not really all in on Tua, who think he was really a pro-Herbert guy who will never really let that go, and it will eventually drag this franchise down and play out quite awkwardly on Sundays. And while the thing with Tua was so far too unnecessarily weird last year, so yeah, watch this space. Let's start with you, Klump. What are your thoughts on what Jason La Confora is reporting here? Because, I mean, he reported news you had the night before him, so obviously he was hearing the same thing you were hearing from a trusted source. I mean, Jason La Confora, whether people like him or not, he's plugged in. That's just the end. That's the reality of the situation. So, that's like me. I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Jeremiah, but I would never come out here and say, oh, the guy's not plugged in. He doesn't know what he's talking about, because I would be a complete and absolute idiot. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on what he has to say about Flores and Tua?
Well, I think the first thing you said is what I was going to go to is I texted you that night. I was like, dude, this is crazy. The Eagles are trying to trade for Deshaun Watson. And then the next day he reported, I think it was like almost verbatim the same thing I got texted to me, which is kind of crazy. So like, I like what you said in a sense where Miami Dolphins fans, Tua stands, they do this thing where if the story doesn't fit with what they believe, like you said, they crush the guy's credibility. Yo, Jason La Confora is so plugged, it's not even funny. Like he is 100% plugged. And I like how you touched on the fact he didn't say this is from the Dolphins. And everyone always tries to say, like, the Dolphins don't give out information. The Dolphins don't give out information. All teams leak a little bit of information in a sense. And the way he reported it is kind of concerning to me in a sense where maybe some employees in the Dolphins are talking to some friends around the league, and then a couple guys start talking more and it kind of spreads. That's what it kind of seems like here, is that this story is kind of growing inside NFL circles, that like the Dolphins want Tua to either like start doing really good this year, or it could get ugly. Like my article said, like who knows what's going to happen. So I don't think in a way, it's like Dolphins fans got so mad, like it's this terrible trash article. I think you touched on it perfectly. I don't know if Flores wanted Tua, and maybe he was a Herbert guy. Like at the end of the day, he doesn't have final say on who they draft, so that could have caused some tension. I do think that Brian Flores is a good enough coach and a good enough leader that it's not going to turn into like a weird thing, like he's saying. Like I don't think Brian Flores is going to walk into like the quarterback room and Tua is going to be like, "What's up, coach?" and he's going to walk by him and it's going to turn into like this hatred thing. But I will say, I think that, Brian Flores benching Tua like he did, that kind of makes me think that this report really has some validity to it. And I know everyone's going to say like, Brian Flores said that if he was the starter at the start of the year, he would have never pulled him. I don't know. I feel like maybe that short circuit in that pressure situation showed how he truly felt. Like almost like his brain went, instead of just thinking about something, he didn't have the time to think. And he said, you know what? I don't trust this kid. I don't believe in him. So I'm going to pull him. There might be some validity there. I mean, it's definitely something worth monitoring, but I know all you people that think I hate Tua. I think Tua is going to do good this year. And I said this in the article. I think Tua is going to do so good this year that it's going to be really fun to look back on all these takes and be like, why did we waste so much time talking about if Tua stinks, if Brian Flores likes him? Because I think he's going to succeed and the Dolphins are going to be fine. I truly do.
Sordi, what are your? We're going to go back to you, Klump, because I'm going to expand on this further a little bit on what you said with the validity. But I want to get Sordi. What are your thoughts on this Jason La Confora report? Because as we know, Twitter was like having a conniption out here over it. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, obviously Twitter was having a big meltdown over this. I do think this report's valid for both of the reasons both you guys mentioned. I think La Confora is plugged in. I could easily see smart people in different organizations kind of, they're picking up on the story, they're picking up on different rumors I've heard, and now they're talking about it. With that being said, you don't know who's telling La Confora these rumors, right? What if it's a division rival internally and they're something they hear? They're trying to sow mistrust and division into the Dolphins organization. What if you're the Chargers front office and you just want to stir the pot with another rookie QB who is an AFC rival who you normally play every year? Let's be honest, right? I feel like in the NFL, it's like kind of like the Cold War. They do these little things behind the scenes to just kind of sow division and stoke this division here. With that being said, like I want to go back to the note Klump had about the awkwardness of last year with him getting pulled late in games and like maybe Flores was going with his gut, right? Where it's like he might not have wanted Tua. So when he saw that things weren't really picking up in the first half and then in the second half, he had to pull the switch. I definitely get that perspective and I agree with it in a sense. But I go back to two things, right? The one thing I go back to is that we were in the middle of a playoff hunt. And after Flores went, what did we go, 5-11 the year before? And that was like the tank season. Flores was trying to win every game possible no matter what. He needed to prove his reputation was intact, right? That he's a good coach. He could be a good leader. So, of course, any coach is obviously going to want to win. But I feel like Flores had even more of a fire lit under his ass that he couldn't take any chances whatsoever. He had to pull Tua in those circumstances. Now, I go to the flip side, and this is like a personal philosophy I have. I think once you play a rookie QB and you start him and that's kind of your guy, I don't think you should ever bench him. That's just like a personal philosophy I have. Even if we're in the playoff hunt, I would rather just personally go down with the ship. Like, you're trying to make the playoffs, I get it, but let the guy take his lumps. And that's something that didn't happen. It happened to Brady Quinn when he was on the Browns way back when it happened his rookie year. I remember telling my dad, like, I don't think you do that for a rookie QB. So I'm torn here because it's like two conflicting philosophies, but there's a little bit of validity to both, in my opinion. Overall, I think the report's valid. With that being said, the anonymous sources sketched me. I think it could be someone trying to stoke division. Even then, Klump said it best. I think we're going to look back on this and laugh at how asinine some of these takes and some of these reports were.
All right, so first, just to get these out of the way, Martin donates $5. Said Belichick and Brady always bumped heads. Winning cures more than we think. And then a $2 donation from Rhino says, I agree, Martin. Guys, okay, back to you, Klump, for a sec. When you told me that stuff about the Eagles in the same breath, you were also telling me about how us in San Francisco were the two that were really in on Watson at the time you were told this, okay? Does this add more validity to why Flores might have been pushing, let's get a Watson to move off of Tua, because maybe Flores doesn't want to wait around for a quarterback to develop. Maybe he wants a finished product, something that's done right now. Like this would make more sense in the sense of, and I hate to use that word twice over, but in the sense of how they were kind of hard in on Watson, which from what we understand privately is basically undeniable. I mean, fans can have their feelings, fans can think what they want, but the fact is we were in on Watson up until those allegations came out. And if Flores was never really sold on Tua to begin with, wouldn't that make him even more eager to get a more of a finished product like Watson?
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you're setting me up here or what, but
I'm not setting you up. I'm gonna ask Sordi the same thing too.
Okay, because you and I have talked privately, and I've never actually really reported the other part of what was texted to me. I told the Eagles thing because I don't mind that, but I was told yes that the Dolphins were 150% in on Watson, and they wanted him bad, and I mean, my guy is spot on. He's more of an Eagles guy for me than anything, but he said that the Dolphins were in on it. What was weird to me was when the Dolphins started free agency so weird, then I was like, oh man, like this is really about to happen. And Dolphins fans don't know it's really going to happen. Then the allegations come. I said this before. I don't think I'll ever tweet this. And I'm so scared for the people I hope no one clips this and shares it all the time. But I truly think the Dolphins would have traded for Watson if he didn't get the allegations. 100%. I think he would be the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins right now. And hearing what Sordi was saying about how, with benching a rookie quarterback and connecting it with what I said and hearing you just ration that too, now it makes me really think that 100% maybe Brian Flores isn't in on Tua, man. Maybe he really wants to get a guy to win. And what Sordi said really made me think it when he said, Brian Flores, the tanking season, they still won 5 games. He wants to win. He benched Tua because he wants to win. And maybe what you just said is why he's trying to upgrade the quarterback position so much is he doesn't want to wait for Tua. Who knows if Tua is going to develop? I mean, this guy was injured. I think he's going to be solid. It's going to be fine. But Brian Flores might not want to wait, and that's why he wanted Watson, and maybe that's why he wanted Herbert. He thought he was ready to go right away. It's I don't know, man. It's really, the more we talk about it, the more eye-opening it is. And I know somehow, some way, this is going to get turned on me, and people are going to say I hate Tua, and I don't. I'm just touching on the facts that we're stating right now. It is kind of weird.
I'm with you on this, bro.
It's such a weird dynamic,
literally said
right?
I back you up on this subject that, the people can have their feelings, whatever they want. From everything I've understood privately, not just with you, we were in on Deshaun Watson, and if the allegations did not happen, there's a good chance Deshaun Watson would be in Miami right now.
I agree. It's crazy to me. I think what's really crazy, and this is going to be for all the people that say, hey, Tua, ready for this? I feel horrible for Tua right now. I feel like he's been put in such a terrible spot this offseason. And maybe it motivates him and stuff like that. But dude, that's not fair. That's not the motivation you want your quarterback having. I don't know how he feels confident. I saw that they forced the report that him and Flores went out to lunch, which was really eye-opening to me because I mean, quarterbacks and their coaches get lunch all the time. So I don't know why the Dolphins had to force that report out there and make it a story that, oh, everything's all good. Flores and Tua went to lunch. I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. It's just very strange. So I do feel bad for Tua. I pray, I really do. If Tua, I hope he does good to start the year, because if he starts out pretty rough, man, it's going to be a really, really ugly scene in Miami, in my opinion.
What are your thoughts on that, on what we're talking about, Sordi, in terms of, could this add even more credence to the whole Watson thing that, I mean, let's be honest. We all saw the Brian Flores fist pump for when they took Raekwon Davis. We didn't see any semblance of that of when Tua Tagovailoa was selected. And it goes back to what Greer, what Rich Eisen was saying before the draft, that back in the 2018 draft in Atlanta, I believe it was, Chris Greer was going around telling everyone who would listen, I'm going to draft Tua Tagovailoa if I can. And, that might have been more of a Ross and a Greer pick than Flores, which happens all the time, not just with quarterbacks. what are your thoughts on how this could maybe add more credence to the whole Watson thing?
Yeah, no, I think it could add credence. And you bring up a couple good points, right? Like I'm thinking about the owner, GM, coach dynamic. And when Greer hired Flores, he said that we're gonna build, like, we are in complete agreement on how we want to build a team moving forward, and we do see eye to eye. With that being said, like maybe there was kind of a stipulation put in where Greer's like, listen, of course you're gonna have input on the QB, but at the end of the day, I'm going to choose a guy who I think could like lead the franchise, right? So maybe it was close between Tua and Herbert. And like you said, Ross, dude, if you're Stephen Ross, I'm sorry, but Tua and his personality, he is selling more tickets, more merchandising, everything than Herbert ever would have. 100%, let's be honest. So I think Ross was in on Tua no matter what, right? And it does seem like Greer, from those leaks over the years, bro. It was years the leaks were coming out that we were in love with Tua before he suffered a devastating hip injury. Like in this, right after we drafted Christian Wilkins, the reports about Tua and our love affair were coming out already. So, like, you got to think that there might have been like already an inherent bias that Ross and Greer had, that they liked Tua more. So that's one part of it, right? Now I'm going into the Deshaun Watson situation. I would bet my grandma's life that we were in on Deshaun Watson up until those allegations came out. The writing was on the wall. The tea leaves were there, bro. It was the first day of open free agency period. Silence. The second day, nothing's going on. The wide receivers are slowly starting to sign. We're not hearing any rumors, any reports at all. And I remember I tweeted it on I think it was Wednesday morning. I was like, yo, I think this Deshaun Watson thing is actually going to happen. It's starting to seem much more likely because we weren't making any aggressive moves with the decent amount of money we had. And the guys we were signing, Ethan Carter, for example, the tight end fullback, we're just signing some depth role player guys on the team. It really seemed to me that we were going to move a bunch of assets to bring in Deshaun Watson, probably unload Tua to the Texans, of course, and then use whatever leftover money to build a roster around him. And then, of course, the allegations came out, and that kind of put a hole in things. Lastly, kind of going into that, we need to see what happens with the Deshaun Watson situation, right? Like, the allegations are here. He's probably going to go to court. I don't really know enough about the legal system, and then in conjunction with the NFL's internal legal system,
he hasn't been the deposition date that came out for him specifically is until February 2022.
Oh my God!
So it's gonna go. Me and Klump talked about this privately, and I think we talked about it publicly too, but it's not happening this season. And let's be honest, the Eagles are lining themselves up. Once that Wentz conditional second turns into a first, they're going to be able to offer 3 firsts next year for Deshaun Watson.
And I said this, I reported this. I think I said it to you too, Reason. And now it's out there in the news. I think Jason La Confora actually is the one who reported it too. Who do the Philadelphia Eagles have to trade to the Texans? Jalen Hurts, who's from where? Houston, and he's loved there too. So that would be a huge package for them as well. So I think the Eagles are definitely the team that's going to go for him if he gets out of it, but I don't see him playing it down this year. I think he's going to go in the non-exempt list. I don't think he plays it down.
Yeah,
so TD Finstock,
context,
who's in the comments right now, and I know he knows a couple people inside the organization because he lives right down there. He said, "I know basically what is that? If we count the
100,000
here, 100,000%. The Watson deal was already done and to be executed the day before the draft until the bombshell dropped 2 days before the draft. And then Melvin donates $2 and he says, where did Watson want to go though? See, this is what I come down to, Klump and Sordi. Okay, so I'm an NHL fan, as everyone knows, right? And in the NHL, no trade clauses and limited no trade clauses are pretty prevalent. And what happens is basically, for limited and no trade clauses, when you're trade, you have to submit, for limited, let's say it's a 10-team limited no trade clause. You got to submit before the season starts the 10 teams you'd accept a trade to, right? Well, same thing with a no trade clause. If me and your agent come to an agreement that we're going to trade you, you got to submit me a list of teams, right? We haven't heard a leak of teams that he would accept a trade clause to. Now, I know his representation came out, and the basic thing was he would accept a trade to anywhere to get out of Houston. I got to ask you, Klump, do you think he would go to Philly?
Yeah,
Because
I think he'd go to
if
Philly.
if he'd go to Philly, no one in the league could match what they're going to offer. Like, you know what I mean?
I think he'd go to Philly 100%, just because they're going to love him. They're going to make him the face of the franchise. I don't. Maybe the Carson Wentz stuff gets to him a little. I mean, at me personally, obviously, if there's one thing I'm actually a stan on, it's Carson Wentz stan, which is so funny. But like, if I'm him and I see that, I don't know, I'd feel a little uneasy. But I just think getting out of Houston and going to Philadelphia, like, there's nothing better than winning in Philadelphia. When you're winning in that city, dude, when they won the Super Bowl and I covered the Eagles that year, it was, I can't even explain how
God,
electric.
right?
Dude, it was so electric. I will tell everyone this story. The NFC Championship game when they played the Minnesota Vikings and Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares song was playing in pregame warmups. I don't know if you've never seen this video, if you ever want to go find a video that just gets you like goosebumps, man, it was the coolest feeling ever watching that. Like, they were so loose, so hyped, and like, it's because the fans were so behind them, dude. It was, I don't know, man, winning in Philly would be interesting, but I would say if he had a choice, if they said you want to go to Philly or Miami, dude, this guy's not dumb. Like, Miami's the place to go. I think he'd rather go to the Miami Dolphins than the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be rude and like disrespect Philadelphia in any way, but you're an idiot if you want to go to Philadelphia over Miami. You just are. Like, dude, like, Miami is a 10 and Philly's like a 6. You know what I mean? Like, winning's great in Philly, but as an actual place to live, like, give me a break, man. I'm trying to live in Miami over Philly, no doubt.
Now, you used the word fair earlier, Klump, about how that wouldn't be fair, how this whole situation isn't fair to Tua. So an article came out yesterday from Tyler Dunn, who wrote that Lynn Bowden article last week that everyone loved, right? Now, this one was behind a paywall. And Nick Hicks, the trainer at Perform, who has been working with Tua, he says Hicks estimates Tagovailoa was 60% healthy as a rookie. All right. Now, first question I'm going to ask, the medical staff had to have known that as well. All right. Did they even put him in a fair position as a rookie by throwing him out there at 60% healthy? And then on top of that, he was 60% healthy, boys, yet he put up the best season of any AFC East rookie quarterback in over the last decade. You can't name, Josh Allen didn't do that. Sam Darnold didn't do that. Tyrod Taylor didn't do that. When you start going through these guys, that's why I've always called last season an anomaly. We didn't even see his floor, and he did what he did. And I mean, if we didn't even see his floor, what the hell is his ceiling here? So, I want to start with you on this, Sordi. Was it even fair, or do you feel like, because it was a weird situation, right? We were 1-3, then we went on a 2-game winning streak. The bye was moved up from week 11 to week 6, and they made a switch, and it just didn't feel like a Flores switch. It didn't feel like that was something Flores would do. That it might have come from the higher ups. What are your thoughts when you see that? First of all, the kid was only at about 60%. And second of all, like, Klump said, this whole situation hasn't been fair. Does this add even more credence to what Klump said about how it's not even a fair situation because we have, until this season, we're not going to really see him near or close to 100%?
Yeah, so as far as the 60% healthy goes, I mean, hold
on. Let me clarify. Is it even fair for them to properly evaluate him if he was only at 60%? That's my better question. Sorry.
Off of last season, no, I don't think it's fair to evaluate him if he was 60%. And I do think he was 60% because he looked 60%. Like, I think that's a pretty solid number the trainer gave, to be honest. And I'm trying not to be a biased Dolphins fan or homer there. I could make a case like maybe the trainer is really trying to talk up to it that, oh, now he's 100, he's going to look so much better. So maybe if I'm trying to take that like trainer bias out of it, maybe Tua was at like 70%, right? But that being said, how is that fair to compare? Like, look at his stats and his performance last year and make a true assessment off of Tua. Like, I think that's been the biggest war that Dolphins fans have been fighting on Twitter with all these shock jocks and blue check marks for the past 6-7 months, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is like, hey, can we give the guy a full season where he's fully healthy and it's not a COVID year without a training camp? So, a very short answer for me. I'm not going to ramble on. No, I don't think it's fair. Let's see what he does this year. He has a bunch of weapons now, and we're going to get a really good sense of what Tua could do.
Klump, I mean, you see that, we all knew he wasn't 100%. Now by the looks of it, it's like, okay, you're healthy, but you're not 100%. You're healthy enough to hit the field, but be careful because you're not 100%. And I always go back to it. I'm pretty sure it was that Oakland Raiders game where Gesicki ran that out route and Tua made the throw and the ball literally died before it got to Gesicki. It was like a 10-yard out route. And I'd never seen that in all the film I had watched at Alabama. Like, that was a clear, he was explosive in his drive foot. And I always talk about the kinetic energy from your toes all the way up to your fingertips. That's how, the throwing motion, right? When you see this, and you talked about it, how not being fair earlier, is it kind of fair for Flores, even with Watson being dangled, to be kind of 1 foot out even on Tua? Because here's the thing, and we'll get into the playbook controversy in a sec here, but it's already hard enough as it is to be a rookie in the NFL when you're 100%, let alone now you got to navigate through the season at 60%. I mean, that's not ideal circumstances. So what are your thoughts on if it was fair to give a full evaluation? And do you think even just giving him, okay, well, we'll give him the second year at 100%. Like, do you think he deserves anything less than 3 years, considering the first year we can basically see by this should be just a write-off?
Yeah, so you said we'll touch on the playbook thing. Mine's kind of going to touch into, I wrote the article about the playbook thing, how I'm not too concerned about it and stuff like that. I think, one, not to keep plugging my stuff, but just kind of, I don't want to repeat myself with things that I've read. So I wrote the article that I'm more concerned, like everyone's talking about Tua, and I said, I guarantee you that Brian Flores goes to bed at night and he looks at it, he's married, right? He looks at his wife and he's like, honey, how funny is it that they are focusing on Tua and not about my co-offensive coordinators and my third and fourth offensive coordinator since I've been here? That's the biggest concern for me, is this offensive coordinator stuff. And I wrote that in the article that, like, it's crazy to me that we're sitting here and we're like, people trash Tua when the offensive coordinators were so bad, how that was going on. And I put it was head scratching that he played last year because he wasn't healthy. You could see he wasn't healthy. And I didn't understand what they were doing by playing him. And then hearing about the whole playbook thing at all, it just adds up to a sense that I didn't understand. He should have never played last year. Like, especially because they pulled him when they wanted to win. And Sordi saying that too, like Flores wanted to do whatever he could to win. That makes me even more angry thinking about what I wrote, because then it just makes me think I was right. Like, why was he playing? He shouldn't have been playing. Let him sit. Let him get healthy. And what they did and what you said is what I wrote about today again. He should get 3 years, but how are the Dolphins going to give him 3 years if he doesn't play well this year? Because they already made a narrative themselves. The Miami Dolphins created this narrative by playing him last year, not at 100%, because fans don't understand football enough to look at the context of how he played. They don't look. They see that he didn't know the playbook. It wasn't like that. Dude, this guy was recovering from the most gruesome hip injury I've ever seen. COVID-19 offseason. But no, people are going to focus on, oh, he got benched twice, all this. Like, the Dolphins created this Tua hater, Tua stan argument. I think that's what's so wild about it, is fans want to come at me. Don't come at me. Come at Brian Flores, because I didn't do this. Like, the Miami Dolphins created this narrative that Tua better do great this year, because if he doesn't, dude, I don't know how the Dolphins are going to sell the fan base on playing Tua a third year if he doesn't do good this year. And what you said is so right. Like, it's not fair to say that this year, like, how do you evaluate him this year? We've talked about it many times. It's crazy to me that people have formed their opinion, a concrete opinion on Tua after 6-3, hip injury, COVID, the playbook, the offensive coordinator, his terrible weapons. That's the other thing. We focus so much on Tua. We should be focusing on the offensive line, the wide receiving core that was not good last year. Like, nope, we're focusing on the guy that was 60%. I'm with Sordi. He's probably a little over 60%. That was probably a little exaggerated. But even still, dude, I don't think they should have played him even if he was 80%. Why rush him? There's no reason to rush him, especially because everyone says, like, what is it? Trust the flosis or whatever you all want to say. Trust the process, that whole concept. Like, if that was their mindset, and people argue with me all the time, they should never trade for Deshaun Watson because that's not part of the process. Well, if it was the process, why are they playing Tua? They should have never played him. Like, who cares what happens? Let Ryan Fitzpatrick play the whole year. You make the playoffs, you make them, you don't, and let Tua get healthy and recover, learn the playbook, have a full real offseason. It's just crazy to me. And honestly, again, there's no one to blame but the Dolphins, in my opinion. There really isn't. I truly, truly believe. I know you said maybe it was a higher up that put him in. I think it's Brian Flores. I think he's panicked. He's trying to do too much. Like, the offensive coordinator situation to me is what really scares me. Like, Sam Bradford comes to my mind. There's an injury-prone guy that kept getting different offensive coordinators. That is very tough. Like, I know a lot of Tua stands think, thank God they got this new offensive coordinator. It's going to be so much better for Tua. There's no guarantee that these guys are going to be better for Tua. If anything, they could be even worse. Like, there's no guarantee. So I'm so much more concerned about the offensive coordinators and the Dolphins ruining Tua's career than Tua himself, honestly. That's what it comes down to. I think the Dolphins have a higher chance of ruining Tua's career than himself. And that's for all you Tua haters. There you go. Look at that. I don't hate Tua at all.
All right, let's get into this. Firstly, though, Melvin donates $5. He said, these owners don't care about the players. All they see is money. All right. Okay, let's talk about this, the co-offensive coordinator thing for a sec here, okay? So I'm actually not that worried about it, and I'm going to tell you why, and we can have this conversation. All right, so the reason why I'm not worried about it is because of pieces I've been picking up. So I always go back, especially on this channel, ad nauseum about Najee Harris when he's on Pat McAfee's show. If you go back to his interview on Pat McAfee, he talked about at the Senior Bowl how he read our playbook, and it was basically the same as what we ran at Alabama, just with different terminology. Okay, that's what he said. Now you got DVP coming out yesterday in his interview, and what was one of the only long answers he gave was about, he was basically telling everybody about how they're moving around a lot more than they have during his time here, which to me says, okay, they're motioning a lot more. And since, you know, you could kind of, they wanted Matt Canada. What's Matt Canada known for? A lot of pre-snap motion. And I've been banging the table that I want more pre-snap motion, and I want more motion at the snap, because you look at how successful it is for the Rams and the Ravens to set up false keys, okay? So, and another thing that I heard, a conflict that was going on between Gailey and Flores, was Flores wanted a more up-tempo offense, whereas Gailey did not. And that kind of goes back to after the Chiefs game, when Gailey was asked about to his ability in that game to run the no huddle. He said he didn't know that. The very next week, he came out to the media before the game and said, I don't like that no huddle offense. No huddle nonsense, sorry. You know, basically right there. And I can bring up the numbers for you guys, and I can show you how effective he was in the no huddle, and I can show you how effective he was against the blitz. You know, clearly up-tempo was catering to his strengths, and we just weren't doing it with Chan Gailey, right? Now, you go back to Tua for a sec here, all right? You go back to the Chargers post game last year, and we've played this interview up here multiple times on this channel. He said me and some of the offensive starters were not on the same page as Chan Gailey and some of the plays he was calling, all right? He says that they were questioning why certain plays were being called, all right? Now you go back to this last interview he had where we get into the whole confusion. People are reading things one way, people are reading things the other way when it comes to checks and alerts, all right? Because at first he said he wasn't comfortable with checks and alerts. Then when he clarified, he said he didn't have alerts and checks. Now, Klump, you've played offense. I don't know what Sordi's playing history was or whatever, but, you know, I played the position, all right? So even when you know a playbook 40, 50, 60%, there are plays you run in practice and there are plays you run in game that you're known to be comfortable with. And here's another thing people are forgetting. Listen, if I call a power right and I walk up to the line, I see the defensive front that I'm getting is overloaded to that right side. Checking out could be as simple as switching it to a power left. Just switching it to the other side. I've had this conversation with Richmond Webb too. It's just that simple, all right? I'm not looking for anything like complex and over the top here, right? when he says he didn't have alerts and checks, I believe in a sense he's kind of telling people, whether he wasn't allowed to or he wasn't, because when you watch Fitz in this offense, what was Fitz constantly doing with the play calls that were called in? He was constantly checking out at the line. If you watch the offense and how it operated, it was happening all season with Fitz, all right? Now, I believe there was a disconnect between Chan Gailey and Tua Tagovailoa. You can't convince me otherwise, or I think Chan Gailey would have been back. Now we go back to what I was talking about with the Najee Harris and DVP, right? With DVP talking about motion, what's the one thing the Alabama offense does a lot? A lot of motion, right? Now, Godsey, in his interview, talked about how they were working on retention with Tua, right? What's the easiest way for a quarterback to retain information? You let him run stuff that he's comfortable and familiar with. That's why, what did he say in that same breath? I'm more comfortable now, and I can maneuver through that stuff when he was talking about the alerts and checks. Clearly, they are catering this offense more towards Tua Tagovailoa, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to scheme your offense around your quarterback's strengths, right? So, that's why I'm not that worried about our co-coordinators right now. I mean, you see what Godsey did in Houston back in, 2015, 2016. They had the 15th best passing attack, and this was with guys like Tom Savage, Brandon Wheaton, complete jabronis at the position, right? And, you look at the Arizona game. Who was our play caller during that Arizona game? It was George Godsey. So, that's why I'm not really as shaken. Klump, Sordi, I want to get your thoughts now that I've kind of stated why I'm not worried on what you think about all that.
Let me add one thing, then I'll let Sordi go because I want to let Sordi talk. Yeah, I think what you're saying is 100% right, and I agree with you. What I'm concerned about, and maybe I'm not doing a good enough job of getting my point across, I'm not worried about the playbook. What I'm worried about is what if these guys go out here and they don't put the players in the best position with play calling? That's what it comes down to me, is this playbook could be perfect for Tua. I've coached with coaches that just don't know how to get their players in the right position at the right time. And that's what I'm concerned about, is that we could sit here and talk all the time about how now the offense is better for Tua. It wasn't better for Tua. At the end of the day, someone needs to call plays, and they need to be good play calls. Doug Peterson in Philadelphia, one of the main reasons people wanted him out of there, he just had such a disconnect last year with calling plays. And it really hurts your quarterback when you can't get in a good rhythm with calling plays and using your quarterback's strengths. Yes, maybe Tua is great with an RPO, but the RPO might not be the play call. That's what I'm concerned about. But go ahead, Sordi.
Yeah,
right.
So go ahead, Reason.
I was just going to say, you're not wrong, right? The only benefit I could see of one of them being the play caller, and, maybe Flores kind of tipped his hat because, Godsey called the Arizona game, but if you listen to what Flores said a couple weeks ago, he said if Godsey was out, Stootsville was going to be the play caller. And, the only advantage I can see to the play calling scenario is Klump. Let's say you're the play caller and I'm the other co-offensive coordinator. You're probably going to be up in the booth, right? And I'm going to be down on the sideline. Yep. The only advantage I could see is if you're calling plays and I get on the headset to you and I say, listen, the guys on the field are seeing this, or I'm seeing this, maybe try this, but then it's still up to you and your discretion if you want to take that advice. So, or maybe it's one of those things where they see who's doing better in the offensive, because he's kind of created competition at that position.
I think they're going to compete.
Yeah, who's doing better in the offensive meetings and with the installs, go with the rhythm, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It is the biggest question mark for this offense, and it is one of the things that matters the most because we at least know Godsey has called plays at the NFL level. We've never seen Stootsville call plays at the NFL level. So that's another thing, right? So yeah, anyway, sorry, Sordi. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sordi.
No, you guys are good. That's great insight. I think I agree with both of you guys in much different, not much different ways, but with the different points you're making. I am the most concerned about the power dynamic and the power struggle between both of them. I think that's an aspect that a lot of Dolphins fans kind of downplay, especially on Dolphins Twitter as a whole. Whereas I'm kind of like, I'm looking at it from the point of view where if Godzi's calling plays pretty well and they switch to Studsville, and maybe like the offense isn't doing as good, right? Like, do they go back to Godzi and stick with Godzi? Does that kind of create like a little bit of a rift in the offensive room? So I'm kind of looking at it just from the power dynamic perspective as a whole. With that being said, I feel confident that we are going to at least play to Tua's strengths, whereas we weren't doing that with Chan Gailey, of course, before. So it's a very, very cautious optimism with me. But at the end of this season, I do think at the end of the day, one of these guys, whether it's Godzi or Studsville, is going to become the main offensive coordinator. I don't think we're going to go into another year after this where they're both co-OCs. Something's going to have to give here.
Because what we're basically doing is what McVay and Shanahan are doing. They both have passing game coordinators and running game coordinators. The only thing is one of those guys has to be the play caller, which McVay and Shanahan, they take over the play calling, right?
That's what I'm getting at, is at the end of the day, the play calling is the most important aspect. Like, you are 100% right. There's nothing you said is incorrect. I'm just concerned that the offense could be great and they're going to call the wrong plays. And that's I hate Sam Bradford. I'm not sticking up for him. He's trash. But that really impacted Sam Bradford's career, never getting in a rhythm with an offensive coordinator. And what Sordi said freaks me out. I hope he's right that someone just takes over and is the offensive coordinator next year, because if they keep switching offensive coordinators, dude, that's not good for Tua. I don't care how similar they keep the playbook. Like, it's just not good to not have that rhythm with offensive coordinators. So hopefully one of these guys becomes the alpha, like you said, and like, I hope that for Tua's sake, just because it could be a mess. It really could be a mess.
Yeah, especially when you got so many new pieces there too, right? Like, so many moving parts. Like, you better get it down, and you better get. And here's the thing. You know, I know at the Senior Bowl he gave each of them a half, right? Still, like, that's not live action that matters. It's a Senior Bowl. The preseason, it's going to be live action with a bunch of third and fourth stringers that are putting it all on the line, not first and second stringers. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you are touching on something that means a lot. That rhythm, you know, between the quarterback and the offensive coordinator, but also the offensive coordinator in game. That's literally everything when it comes down to being successful in game, right? Like you said, you can have the most perfect playbook in the world, but if you can't execute it at a play calling level, what the hell good is it? And you know what? You're gonna need your quarterback to be so caught up with that playbook that he recognizes that they're making the wrong call and he checks out. Like, it'll be more pressure on the quarterback, right? In a way, in a sense. So I get it. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts before we get into a couple of the other things here. A, do you guys think Liam Eichenberg is your starting right tackle day one? And B, this is the actual part that worries me the most, Klump, with this offense, is this offensive line. You know, we're hoping on Skura finding that 2018 form. I think Hunt, he's now in the position where I've been saying for time since we drafted him, this is where his highest ceiling is, but he's still got to perform. Kinley's back to his natural spot. Austin Jackson needs to look more like the guy we saw in the first half of the season than what we saw in the second half of the season. Are you guys worried about this offensive line, that there's really, other than Skura, there's really no veteran presence on this offensive line? And they had a chance at 6 to take Penei Sewell. They had a chance at 36 to take Tevin Jenkins, but instead they overpaid to trade up for Liam Eichenberg, who I did my prospect preview. I think he's very solid. Technique, fundamentally, he's very sound. Does this offense, but he's a rookie. Does this offensive line worry you guys heading into the season?
Go ahead, Sordi.
So I do think that Eichenberg is going to be slotted in at right tackle by the start of the season. I think there's a reason why, reason you mentioned, we overpaid so we can move up for him, right? I think they saw that there was a clear need for a right tackle that we had to address, at least bringing in that extra depth player or competition, right? And you mentioned that we don't really have a great veteran presence on our line, and I do agree there. With that being said, like, DJ Fluker, I think is a pretty good piece just to the line as a whole, to provide that versatility from tackle to guard. With that being said, I mean, reason we've talked about this a bunch, I think Hunt's going to kick right into right guard and really excel at that position. You mentioned Kinley's going to kick over to left guard. With that being said, I'm extremely nervous about this offensive line, man. Like, I know we were talking about the two co-OCs. My biggest red flag concern of the season is probably the offensive line. Not even Tua's development, not even like the two OCs. I think Tua will be fine as long as the O-line does okay, right? But, Austin Jackson had some pretty crappy games last year, let's be honest, especially against the Broncos and Chubb. Chubb just kind of eviscerated him in that game. And Jackson really struggled throughout the year. He had some bright moments, but it wasn't very great. Skura, we're hoping that he learns how to snap the ball again, right? And if we see ourselves in a rainy game, that he's not going to blow it for us.
Dieter.
Yeah, I know we have Dieter. I'm not very hopeful on him either, to be honest.
No, I'm saying if it's raining, Dieter, suit up, baby, you're in.
Oh yeah. Then definitely throw him in. And then like you said, Eichenberg. I watched like a decent amount of his college tape. I tuned into your film breakdown as well. He's going to be a rookie right tackle, right? And he's going to be going up against studs in the NFL. With that being said, I do really like the Notre Dame pedigree as a whole. I tend to think that college pedigree does matter, especially with those kind of positional units. Like if you draft a tight end or a lineman out of Notre Dame, more often than not, they are going to be pretty successful or at least solid, just truly based on kind of the coaching and how they come up, right? So with that being said, I do have a little bit higher hopes for Eichenberg, but I'm nervous about this line, man. We better hope that they gel and things work, or we're in a really bad spot moving forward, I think.
Yeah, this is kind of weird to say. Like, I'm nervous about the offensive line, but I think it all stems down to one thing, and not to spill on something I'm writing about right now, but I think one player on the offensive line could ruin the entire Dolphins season, and that's Skura. And not even if he plays bad. Imagine if he gets injured. I think I was talking to, I'm going to forget. I think maybe it was Smart Guy or someone. I was talking to them about this. If Skura goes down, is he the most valuable player right now that the Dolphins need to not get injured on offense? Isn't that insane to think about?
Yeah, I'd agree.
He actually is. That's what I'm writing about right now. If he goes down, the Dolphins season might be over. Like, dude, we can joke about Dieter all we want, but he's not getting in there and taking control of that offensive line. There's no way. Like, Skura might be the most important factor on the Dolphins offense, and that is like, holy shit, dude. That is so scary to me that we have to sit here and go, hopefully he can get back to how he played in 2018. In 2018, I probably weighed like 190 pounds, bro. I wish we could all go back to 2018, but that's not what it's about. Like, dude, life's not that easy, man. If it was that easy, I'd be looking great still. Like, dude, that's 2018, 2019. Like, it's really, really concerning to me that Matt Skura is the Dolphins' like key to success. Like, that's strange to me. Like, I'm in the minority, I guess, where I think that like all those young guys are going to develop. I think that the Dolphins have solid guys that you can trust. Like, they're not going to go out there and stink. Like, they all have potential to at least be good enough. You know what I mean? Like, even you mentioned Fluke or Sordi, which is great. I think he's going to be he's such a good depth piece that if someone goes down, plug him in. He can play left guard, right tackle. He can play left tackle. I probably wouldn't put him there, but I guess for Tua's sake, maybe you could play him at left tackle. It's just like, dude, Matt Skura is what the Dolphins season truly comes down to. If he gets injured, it's between him and Gaskin. But even if Gaskin goes down, they got some guys behind him that they can trust. There's no one if he goes down at center. So that's what concerns me the most, is that like a guy that has injury history is what the Dolphins need to stay healthy for the entire season. That's concerning to me.
Irving donated $2. He said Tua equals elite from the neck up. Everything will take care of itself. I just wanted to point out something here to Cap. Cap, I love you, but Eichenberg has never played center, bro. So I don't know where you think about the flexibility of Eichenberg.
He said he joked in his interview when he got drafted that he'll play center if they need to, but he's
he's never played. He's never taken.
Yeah, he made a joke.
Yeah, he's never taken a snap at center.
But Klump, I want to mention this. And if you want to include this in your article and throw me some royalties, like 10 to 15%, you can. Last year, the COVID season, just thinking about like the offensive line and the potential versatility, Jesse Davis was doing a little work at center. So that's like a little note. So if
You know what
Skura
my
does
problem with
go
Eichenberg
down,
is? I don't want a 6'6" center either. Like, you're not gonna win a lot of leverage battles 6'6" coming out of your stance, bro.
yeah,
At
it's rough.
center, not gonna. You want your center to be about between 6'1" and 6'3". You don't want a 6'6" mammoth in the middle there. You do not want that. Anyway, sorry, continue on.
No, you're good. But I mean, if Skura goes down and it's between Dieter and Jesse Davis, who at least has shown that he could be pretty average across the line, it wouldn't be ideal, but maybe that would salvage the season.
You know what worries me, Sordi? Jesse Davis was next to Hunt. And for some reason, and maybe this is because Kinley's the smarter guy, when Kinley was next to Davis, they could pick up stunts and pass off combo blocks. When Hunt was next to Davis, they could not pick up a stunt or pass off combo blocks to save their life next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that is concerning for me because Jesse Davis has been in this league for how long? And where I'm going with this is kind of what Klump's going with the Skura thing. The center needs to be the quarterback of your offensive line, okay?
Yep.
He needs to ID the mic. He needs to ID the linebackers. He needs to call out disguises, blitzes. He needs to be the smartest player on your offensive line, all right? Or as equal as the smartest player on your offensive line if you have a really smart tackle or guard or whatever, all right? And the problem is Dieter and Jesse Davis have never done that live action, let alone snap the football. And what people keep forgetting about the center spot is you're at a disadvantage before the ball is even snapped because your head's down, you got to snap the ball, right? Your head's up. But in that motion of snapping the ball, defenders are already coming out of their stance at you. So you got to be even quicker in terms of explosion out of your stance, or you're just going to get pushed back and bull rushed into the lap of your quarterback. Mm-hmm. And this is the problem with Dieter and Jesse Davis. And even if they did throw a guy like Eichenberg in there, they've never had live reps, and that's going to be a very, very painful and scary learning curve. And this goes back to, listen, if you wanted Eichenberg that bad, and I love Javon Holland. Javon Holland was my safety one. You can go back to October and see the video I dropped on October 21st when I said he's my favorite safety in this draft. I was talking about him last August. You should have either A, moved back up with that 81st pick and got Creed Humphrey, who was still sitting there when the Chiefs came along, or B, you should have addressed that tackle with 36, okay, because you could have gone another season with Bobby McCain and then come back around with your next pick, and you should have taken a center because what Klump's getting at is 100% right. Who the fuck do we have behind Skura that you can lean on if this guy gets hurt again? They didn't get a guy who doesn't have it. They brought in a guy who has injury history. The worst kind, bro. Mm-hmm. And if you go down that creek again, it's going to be real, real bad, and it's going to be real, real long of a season for that offense and Tua Tagovailoa, bro.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's definitely not going to be ideal. So let's pray to God Skura stays healthy because we are in a world of hurt. And reason we were talking about it on the day 2 show for the draft here, we were pounding the table for Quinn Miners, man, with that later pick. You're like that would have been perfect, right? Like even if you want to start Skura, at least we have Quinn Miners waiting.
And they took and you know what? And then I got to watch videos of Flores all giddy because he selected his first Boston College alum, Hunter Long, bro. Where again, Pat Freiermuth was sitting there with your second pick, bro. And I think Pat Freiermuth's better, but I think Hunter Long is really good and really well rounded. I think him, Pitts by a mile, and Pat Freiermuth were the best, obviously, in this class, right? Mm-hmm. D-Dub says. And you're right, though. Quinn Miners should have been the pick, but we won't go there. He says, D-Dub says, if Donuts 5, he says, if Skura goes down, then Jesse Davis will be next man up. I was calling for his departure, but now I think he has a value as depth for the offensive line. And I agree with that because when he came in at guard last year, when the injury happened was it Kinley that one got hurt? And he had to come in. His first snap was real rough, but everything after that, he was moving people at will. It's just a matter of people don't take into account the disadvantage you're at with having to snap the football. And D-Dub also says Tyler Gauthier and Cameron Tom are center backups. Oh my God, $2.
That is
yeah,
bad.
that's all you need to say. Oh my God. I gotta ask you this question because it was brought up. Me, EM, Ball Game, and a few others. Dougley. We were on TD's platform a couple nights ago, and this came up from EM. And I want to ask this question to you guys. I want to pose this question to you guys because we just talked about Hunter Long. What's the value of Mike Gesicki right now to this team? And the reason why I asked that is, Klump, as you know, you wrote it in one of your articles, we ran the 5th most 12-man personnel last year, right? But for the majority of that 12-man personnel, it was Smythe and Shaheen. It wasn't Gesicki, right? Gesicki saw a lot of his snaps. Oh, yeah, he lined up in line. There's no denying that. But the majority of his snaps came in the slot and on the boundary. Now they've added Will Fuller, boundary, X, all right? They've also gone ahead and they've added your slot receiver in Waddle. Albert Wilson's back, who I think Albert Wilson's going to make the team. What is the value for Gesicki right now? Because he's kind of a glorified wide receiver. And I want to ask you guys both this. He's kind of a glorified receiver going into a contract year. Yes, I know the number is about $9 million if you franchise tag him this year. But what is truly his value for this team? Is that a guy you would be looking to trade for? I don't know, maybe a center? What do you think the value for Gesicki is right now when he's a glorified receiver and we've got a massive log jam at boundary and the slot when you include guys like Wilson and Bowden into the equation too with Waddle? What are your guys' thoughts on where this team is? Did Hunter Long put the writing on the wall?
Klump, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first just because I want to say Florida-born, Kentucky-grown, saying that I'm the Dolphins' number 3 center. That literally just like
you are. You might be number 2, bro. You might be number 2.
I was literally trying not to laugh out loud that my eyes started to water. That was incredible. So thank you for that. I don't know, man. I'm still on the team that I think they're going to keep him, and worst case scenario, they'll franchise tag him next year. I don't think they have any plans of moving on from him. I don't see how they're going to get an elite center. Like, the only way I'd trade him is if I could get a good center. Like, you need a starting center, and I just don't think they're going to do it. I think what they'll do with him, and yes, he lined up more in the slot and not as much in line, but what you can do with 12 personnel when you have 2 pass-catching tight ends, and Long can block, I'd probably say he blocks better than Gesicki, obviously.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So what you do is you could put his hand in the dirt, and you can put Gesicki right off his hip, like by like a 1x1 or 2x2 split, make him almost like an H-back. So you can either have those 2 tight ends to power down the run game, or now you have him. And we talked about the motions. Now you can use him as a motion guy, and that really puts stress on the defense when you have a tight end that can block a little. I think he can block enough.
Oh, he's okay.
But he can catch passes too, so that really puts stress on the defense because now if you're in base defense with the linebackers on the field and now you motion him out to the slot, now you got one-on-one coverage with Gesicki and a linebacker, which is everything you want. So I think that the Dolphins are going to really lean on their 12 personnel, and they really want as many tight ends as they want. I'm surprised they didn't get Tebow. I'm sure they tried, but no. But in all seriousness, like, think about it. They've really put a lot of emphasis on adding to the tight end room, and I think they have no plans of getting rid of Gesicki. I think he'll be a Dolphin for a pretty long time. I think they'll franchise him, re-sign him. I think he's going to stay. I mean, they have a lot of cap room next year too, so I just don't see them letting a good player like him walk out the door. I mean, they've let a lot of good players walk out the door after they've drafted him, but I think he's going to be part of the Dolphins for a while. So I really truly think Gesicki's going to be a huge part of the offense, a lot bigger than some people think. He could end up being one of their top targets, honestly. I know they added a lot of good weapons, but he's probably their most trusted target right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm torn on this one, guys. I honestly am. Because, like, when we first drafted Hunter Long, I really did think that the writing was on the wall for Gesicki, just because it's kind of the Patriots' way to let players walk for those third round comp picks, which we would definitely get for Gesicki, right? And not pay a player like that. If Gesicki was way more of a complete tight end who could block much more effectively, I would 100% think pay the guy. He'll be a part of the team for years. He adds an amazing dynamic to the team. Now, where I'm going with this is like I was talking to Ghost of Adam Gase about like the Dolphins' offensive identity, and I don't think we really know what our offensive identity is right now, right? But what I'm kind of seeing from the moves we made, the players we're going to be getting back from the COVID exempt list and stuff, like I think we're going to be kind of following the Chiefs model of like we're going to be like a track meet team, right? We're going to use speed to kill you. It's really starting to feel like that after we draft Waddle, who's a 4.27, 4.28 guy if you actually ran it, let's be honest. We're getting Albert Wilson back, who's really fast. And let's not knock Lynn Bowden, who's a pretty quick dude too, right? So I think there's a lot of mouths to feed just as far as the wide receivers go. And then I think about the tight ends, right? And I'm thinking about the Patriot way, like let the guys walk, don't potentially quote unquote overpay them and get the third round comp pick. And I'm thinking about Travis Kelce and the Chiefs offense. Do they maybe view Hunter Long as like a pass catcher and a blocker who kind of fits that mold a little bit better than Gesicki actually does right now? It's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to it, of course. We need to see how he plays in the NFL, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of Gesicki and Long on the field at the same time, potentially even Long and Shaheen, or Long and Smythe, for example, and kind of see how they gel together, right? I think it's going to be a lot of experimentation this year to see how the offense really gels with Gesicki on the sidelines potentially with that 12 personnel. Gun to my head, do I think we're going to keep Gesicki? I think we're probably going to let him walk. That's just my gut feeling right now. But curious to hear Reason, your thoughts on this, and then Klump, anything else you have.
This is tough for me because he's such a mismatch nightmare. And, you know, everyone wants to talk about the Patriots way. Well, Flores was there when the murderer from Florida and Gronkowski were absolutely killing it on the field. Yeah. We're absolutely killing it on the field with Hernandez and Gronk, right? And, you know, you listen to what
unintended.
When you listen to what Klump was saying and how he broke it down, I mean, it is salivating to think of 12-man personnels with Long and Gesicki, because really you only need one of them to be the blocker. Because, I mean, go look at Hernandez was not a very good blocker, right? Like, you weren't writing home about him. Same thing kind of with Gesicki. Now, quickly, Martin says, hello, mouse to feed. Waddle, DVP, Preston, Fuller, Lynn Bowden, G6, Long, and Gaskin, and he's 110% right. My thing is kind of goes back to, again, the Patriot way you brought up, Sordi. Are they going to pay the man? But then I say to myself, if you can franchise tag him for $9 million this year, who wouldn't do that? I would do that, and you know, because Hunter's on a rookie deal, Smythe and Shaheen are on the cheap. You know, like how many guys are we carrying? Like, what does this mean for Seath and Carter? I mean, that was, you know, Klump brought it up earlier. That was one of their first signings. You know, like, you know, I got to ask you guys a question because there's a lot of talk about him being cut. He's 32 years old, I believe. Okay, they lost Jonnu Smith, and Klump can attest to how much 12-man they like to run over there in Tennessee. Would you trade Gesicki for Ben Jones and upgrade your center position right now?
That's tough. I don't know. I don't know. It depends, just because the Dolphins, like, they love their 12 personnel, so I don't know if I'd do it. I don't know. It's tough. I'd have to really think about it. Like, it would be a long discussion. I think one thing, though, that really just freaked me out, how are the Patriots' new tight ends contracts set up? I would be extremely intrigued to see how they're set up, if they set them up like the Dolphins did last year, where they could get out of their deals. Because imagine this scenario where Gesicki has a great year. The Dolphins say, oh, we'll let you walk. We'll take the third-round comp pick. I mean, wouldn't he be an absolute perfect fit in Bill Belichick's offense? Like, how crazy and scary would that be? Like,
Very scary.
Dude, if the Patriots went and got him, I really don't want to get rid of him. I think Travis Kelce giving him that much love, saying it's a top 5 tight end. I mean, the Patriots, yes, they didn't pay people, but they paid Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski, and they freaking paid both of them. They both got monster contracts from the Patriots. So I don't know. I think they're really gonna keep him, and they might pay him, and he might earn it. Imagine if he goes out there and balls. How would you not pay the guy? Like, I wouldn't want a 3rd-round pick, especially with the way sometimes Miami drafts. Like, I don't know. If he's a good player, I think they're going to pay him. I think Aaron Hernandez, didn't he sign like an $80 million contract before he murdered 3 people? Or like, no, but I think, no, for real. It was like a day before or something crazy, right?
That was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. I understand the whole, like, the Patriot way, like, they don't pay people, but they do pay their tight ends, man. They put a lot of emphasis on their tight ends. And Sordi, one thing I'll add, you mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't win the Super Bowl this year, so it's kind of like a dumb, like, I'm stealing this argument. I know they were in the Super Bowl. They were good, obviously. But the year they won the Super Bowl, they ran top 5 12 personnel, just so you know.
Yo, just
Last
so
year they did it, and they lost.
Klump, just so you have it. Jonu's dead cap this year is $31.2 million. His dead cap next year is 26.5. His dead cap in 2023 is 13.75, and then his dead cap in 2024 is 3.75. For Hunter Henry, his dead cap this year is 25 million. Next year is 19 million, and then in 2023 it's 5 million. Just so
they're all staying there. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, they're locked in.
So I need to add one thing real quick. We're talking about the franchise tag, right? So I'm sorry, 2 things. So Klump, you mentioned that the Patriots paid their tight ends, right? Who did they have a wide receiver that really contributed that much? Like, they kind of didn't they have to kind of keep those 2 guys on the team and intact?
Dude, Wes Welker, you're gonna really talk down on Wes Welker right now?
No, I'm not talking down.
No, I'm kidding.
That dynamic, like, I get that they had to pay those dudes. Yep. Now, I'm also looking at it. I mentioned how we might build our offensive philosophy as a track meet, and I completely friggin' blank on mentioning Will Fuller like an idiot. So another speed demon on our team. If he has incredible chemistry with Tua, do we think about franchising him instead? Yeah. You know,
not
like
getting franchised, I think, bro.
Do we tag Fuller instead of Gesicki and let Gesicki walk? Like, this is going to be a very, very tough situation here.
Can you tag Fuller?
They can tag.
Isn't there like a veteran? Isn't there a veteran thing though? When you're on your like next team or something, you can't tag him. Is he able to be tagged? He is.
No, I'm pretty sure we could tag him.
Yeah, he is. He's able to be tagged.
Dude, I wanted to give Will Fuller $16 million a year. Reason knows this. I love Will Fuller. Dude.
I love him too.
You wanted to trade for Watson and Fuller, bro.
I said the only way I would trade for Deshaun Watson is if they tagged and trade Will Fuller. Like, I love Will Fuller. I literally think the world of him. He is so incredible. I can't wait for him this year. I hope he stays healthy.
2 questions for you guys. How many tight ends do you see us carrying? Because here's the other thing, boys. If you remember last year, remember when we were doing the COVID protections every week? They protected Chris Myrick like every fucking week, bro. And then all they did was add another 6 tight ends in the offseason. You know, like Klump said, you know, I tweeted out too. I'm surprised I was shocked that, you know, everyone was going at each other about whether Tebow should get a contract. I was just shocked that we didn't offer him one. And you know,
sorry, I didn't mean to steal your joke.
No. That's cool. It's cool. So, how many tight ends do you think this team carries? Who is the odd man out if we're only carrying 3 instead of 4? And I forget what the second part of my question is, so we'll just go with that one.
You want to go first, Sordi?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the tight end depth chart right now, just thinking about it, right? Like, it needs to be 4.
4, yeah.
Right? So we got obviously Gesicki, Hunter Long, Durham Smythe, and Shaheen. But now I'm also looking at Stephen Carter, who's supposed to be like that versatile tight end fullback. So, I mean, is it 5?
Same with Carl Tucker, the UDFA out of Alabama. Remember, he was a tight end in North Carolina under Sam Howell. Then he came to Bama, and he was a fullback, and he's got hands.
Yeah, so
and he's a really good blocker.
He's another versatile dude. So that's like a pretty interesting perspective. And listen, I don't think this guy's going to make the team, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Like, what if Jibri Blount just looks insane, right? I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
So did you hear at the OTAs? Apparently, he had an insane catch already.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. I'm going to have to check that out.
The OTAs. I think it was a touchdown. I think
Tim
it was
Tebow
a
had a touchdown. Tim
here we
Tebow
go.
had one too.
Oh no, I didn't mean to get Klump fired up with this now, but I'm just saying, like, the tight end room's very interesting. I'm gonna say, I mean, I guess I have to say 4 or 5, right? We're probably gonna bring Carter on just for the versatility. It seems like, I don't know. It's tough. What do you think, Klump?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's just it turns into a numbers game, which is tough. And it's like, who can you keep on the practice squad? Who are teams less likely to steal? It's like, I'd say they go for the 4 guys you just mentioned. I think they're going to have to go with 4. I don't know, though. It's tough because there's so many receivers, too. Like, that's a weird dynamic to this whole thing.
And how many do we carry there? How many do we carry?
Like, you got to go, what, 5 or 6? You got to
go at least 6.
It's going to be tough. But that's what I'm saying. You go 5 if you go an extra tight end. Like, it's...
See, here's my thing. Okay, let's play this game. Name the receivers you would carry, because guess what, guys? I would carry actually 7. All right,
this is a tough game for me to play.
I'll play my game. I'll play my game. All right. Matt Collins is making this team because of special teams and his gunner ability. People need to come to terms with that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
DVP makes a team. Preston makes a team, but he's on the bubble. Waddle, right? Lynn Bowden Jr., Will Fuller. So where are we at?
That's
6?
6 already.
And
now, you didn't mention Albert Wilson.
I just was about to say, I think Albert Wilson makes the team. And the reason why I think Albert Wilson makes the team is because when you run that 11-man personnel and you got 3 receivers out there, how are you going to defend Wilson, Waddle, and Fuller?
Mm-hmm.
There's too much speed. What are you doing, bro? Because if you remember when Wilson came back at the end of 2019, he started to look back like his old self near the end of the season, getting his legs back. And the guy's a yak monster. And I mean, the problem is a lot of those guys, plus my boy Kirk Merritt, who have been on the bandwagon since last year, have all been working out with Tua when he's been doing these park to get-togethers with all these receivers. I mean, guys, Albert Wilson worked out with Tua in the afternoon and then went and got married at night. Like, literally, he went and got married after he was working out with these guys. So my whole thing here is that's the 7-9 name. There's no Jakeem Grant. There's no Alan Hearns. All right. There's no Robert Foster, who they brought in. I mean, how many of you guys would you guys carry? And who are the ones you'd be carrying? We'll save Klump for last because I want people to go wild in the comment section when he pisses everyone off. So, Sordi, who would you be carrying, and how many would you be carrying?
So let me ask this question first because I need to get this context. I actually don't know this. So between wide receivers and tight ends, what's the normal amount a roster has? I want to say it would be anywhere from 10 to 12, right?
Yeah,
combined.
It varies, dude. It's all about how the team's built and like the scheme and stuff like that. I mean, it's all like, dude, one year the Eagles had like 2 tight ends on their roster and like 9 wide receivers. Like it could change. It all changes. I would say it'd be normal to have 3 to 4 tight ends and like 5 to 7 wide receivers.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. So
I mean, 7's pretty high.
It is. Usually, I think last year we carried 6. I think. If I remember correctly.
So let me give my 6 wide. I'm gonna give my 6 wide receivers and then my tight ends. Okay, so it paints a big picture. My wide receivers, I'm gonna go Parker, Fuller, Waddle, Bowden, Albert Wilson, and Mac Hollins. So I'm out on Preston Williams here.
Ooh.
I'm thinking about
you're gonna piss off more people than me. I love it.
Baby.
I want all smoke. I'm totally cool with it.
You heard it here first. Sordi is the biggest Preston Williams hater in the whole Dolphins Twitter community.
I'll send a tweet tomorrow. So
I can't wait to just tell everyone this.
Now I'm looking at the tight ends, and I think I'm carrying. So if that's 6 wide receivers, I'll choose 4 tight ends, right? So that's the top 4: Smythe, Gesicki, Shaheen, and Long. I'm just looking at it like if we're looking for like big, like possession receivers that Preston kind of is. Don't Long and Gesicki kind of fill that role a little bit already as a tight end, and you could even put them in the slot there, like to make that work. I'm thinking about the team dynamic, and bro, I know people love Preston Williams. What I'm saying is controversial as shit. I get it, but he's been injured 2 times over the past 2 years. He hasn't finished a fucking season, right? Like, I really do like the guy. I think he's a good story, undrafted free agent. I want him to succeed, but at some point, you need to get dudes who are actually going to impact the team, stay on the field, stay healthy, and just change the dynamic, you know?
Sordi, you know in your heart of hearts, it's the Dolphin way. What's going to happen? He's going to make the team and have an absolutely ball out to get a contract. And we're going to be stuck in that situation. But you know what? That's why I said he was on the bubble when I named him. And you know why I named him on the bubble? The only thing I think saves him is the chemistry him and Tua were clearly developing before he got hurt last year. And Florida-born, Kentucky-grown says, you don't think they will have Bowden as a running back? No, because I think Dokes makes the team, and I think they're already going to have 4 running backs listed, and I think Laird will be the odd man out. I think it's going to be Dokes, Malcolm Brown, Salvin Ahmed, and Myles Gaskin. So, all right, let's hear your thoughts, Klump. Get ready. Let's go. What do you got for us? Can you top that?
I don't think I can top that, honestly. I don't think my take's going to be as hot as that. I mean, Sordi he texts me all the time about how much he hates Preston Williams. It's crazy. This guy's the biggest.
Here we go.
I mean, literally, I can't get this guy to stop talking shit on Preston Williams. But whatever, it is what it is. So I don't know. The Bowden thing, that's what I was going to bring up too, is it's going to be an interesting dynamic. I feel like all these positions, the running back, wide receiver, tight end, they're all going to kind of connect. And it's going to be, I saw someone post a comment. They said like cream always rises to the top or something like that. Someone said that. And I think that's really what it's going to come down to. I think Miami's training camp is going to be one of the most competitive training camps like ever. Like these guys are going to have to compete to earn their spots. And maybe Dokes does make the roster, or maybe Dokes makes the roster and they say, we value Dokes. And maybe Malcolm Brown gets kicked out, even though he just signed as a free agent. Like then they put Bowden as another running back so they can keep more receivers. It's very interesting how they could set it up. But if I'm going wide receivers, I'm going, obviously, Fuller, obviously, Waddle, obviously, Parker. So we got 3. The Mac Hollins thing is just, like, so frustrating to me because I watched him in Philadelphia, and when I mean one of the shittiest wide receivers I've ever watched in training camp, dude, this guy sucks. Like, dude, he's so nice, and that's why I hate.
Last year was his best year, though. Like, in all fairness to him,
dude, he did catch a bomb from Carson Wentz. I think it was Monday Night Football against Washington. But dude, this guy stinks. I wouldn't be surprised if they say, listen, Sordi might hate Preston Williams, but we're gonna keep him over Mac Hollins. And yes, I know Hollins has the special teams, but they did add a bunch of defensive backs. I mean, dude, maybe Holland's going to be the guy they play as a gunner year 1. I don't know. Like, it's going to be it's so hard to lock down. But I will say this, and this is what's going to piss people off. I don't understand the concept of keeping Albert Wilson. Yes, what you said is true. That formation, it would be good with him. But realistically, what is Albert Wilson? He is what he's always been. Like, he can catch the ball and pick up some yak yards, but how many yak yards are we talking here? Like, we're setting a ceiling that's so low that even Sordi's big head for his hate for Preston Williams, it couldn't fit in there. Like, realistically, the ceiling that we're setting for Albert Wilson, it's so low that, like, I would rather cut Albert Wilson and say, let's see what Lynn Bowden can do, because can he not match the production that Albert Wilson has given the Miami Dolphins? Honestly, maybe. Like, what production has Albert Wilson given him? Yes, he's been injured. Yes, he's been out. I don't know, man. I can't get on board with the Albert Wilson, Jakeem Grant stuff. I just think both those players, they bring back such like toxic memories of covering the Philadelphia Eagles, where it's the receiver that you just want to do better than he is. And like every year, like, this is it. He's going to do better. And then he gets injured week 2 and you're like, son of a bitch, this guy sucks again. Like, what's going on? Maybe like, it's just always maybe next year. This guy's getting up there in age too. Like, I think he's 28. I don't know, man. I'm moving on from Albert Wilson. I'm moving on from
up
Jakeem
there in
Grant.
age. Up there in age. He hasn't hit 3-0.
Yeah, but he's 28 with injury concerns. It's like he has no production. Realistically, his production's bad. Like,
counterpoint. He's had a year off to get his body
True.
Right.
So Alan Hearns is going to be an all-pro then. No, I don't know. Man.
If Alan Hearns finds his early Jags form, then by all means keep the guy, bro. But that guy's never been the same since injuries.
I will say this. I am 100% an Albert Wilson hater. Like, people that want to call me a hater, you're crazy. Albert Wilson, dude, I hate Albert Wilson. I think he stinks. I really do.
How do you hate someone who scores a touchdown high-fiving a fellow player, bro?
That was
Come
sick.
on, dude.
Listen.
Talk about yak.
I saw the video that everyone's been sharing about Tua having zip on the ball. I almost shared it and said,
pew, it was a laser.
Look how shitty Albert Wilson's catch was. I think the ball hit him in the face. I think it hit him in the face. Watch it. Slow it down. I realistically think that ball hit him in the face. Like, he didn't get his hands out in time. That ball got on him. He was not ready to catch it. This guy just, like, the way he caught the ball, dude, I don't know, man.
You're a hater.
I'm over it. So I'm going to go no.
We're going to start all over again because everyone forgot the first four. So DVP,
DVP,
Waddle. Keep going now.
Bowden. I got DVP, Fuller, Bowden. What'd I say? Mac Hollins is going to make it, and Preston Williams.
6. Okay.
6. I think Wilson's gone.
So we all think Jakeem Grant's gone.
Yeah, Grant's gone, man.
Gone. Dude,
so
if they keep
my
him at
next
that
question,
price tag, that'll make me sick.
Who's returning kicks? Because this has been another big topic of discussion. I am a proponent of Waddle's too big of an asset. I'm only using him to tilt the field or if I need a spark, I'll put him on punt return like the Chiefs do with Tyreek Hill. But guys, if we're sitting here and he gets hurt like how he did at Bama on a kick return, we're going to be calling for heads over here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I think he's going to return kicks. When they said on draft
night, I actually agree with you.
I saw when they spoke on draft night, when we were sitting in on that interview together, and they mentioned him returning kicks and punts as one of the reasons they drafted him so early. All I saw was Ted Ginn, dude. That's all I saw. And it's like, and I don't think he's going to be like that. But but like that concept of him always being back returning kicks and stuff, like, I hate the idea, but I really think they're going to do it.
I think he's going to return punts.
Because Bowden can return kicks too, just so FYI.
Wait, let me add one more thing, Sordi. Sorry.
No, you're good.
What about Noah Igbenogany as well?
Yep.
Too, which is
and
Holland, that's fair,
and Javon Holland. Danny Crossman said Holland's going to get a chance.
But what if Noah Igbenogany, like they mentioned, maybe he's not.
You see this guy out there with the Oakleys, bro, like he's about to play baseball, bro. Like,
what if he changed his number to 9, dude? What if they make him return kicks and punts, bro? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, he's worked out enough and he's ripped up and he's bricked up enough where he could take the punishment. Because he looks he looks massive this season, bro. Like, he's definitely put on some weight. I don't know if you guys saw that video when he was working out with like JC Horn and Xavier Howard and all them, but he looks a lot better. Anyway, Sordi, what are your thoughts on the whole kick return, punt return with Waddle?
All right, so I'm going to start with what I think is going to happen and then like my gut reaction, right? So I think Waddle is going to he's going to return punts. I think we should just get really ready for that because I anticipate that happening. I do think it was a big reason why we drafted him, right? His versatility. We know Flo is such a big special teams guy, really values that part of the game. So Waddle's contribution there, it's so underrated what he'll be able to do there. I don't think he's going to return kicks. I feel like that's a little much. It does compound the injury risk, right? If he's doing all three, he's playing receiver, punt returns, and kick returns. Mm-hmm. It's just a little much. I think the coaching staff will understand that someone else needs to take on kick return duties. I think Bowden's a perfect candidate for that. I think Noah's a perfect candidate for that. Just because that we need these guys who are going to be fourth wide receiver, potentially third, fourth cornerback. We need them to contribute in other ways if they're not going to see the field as much on offense or defense, depending on what happens with Noah, of course. So stick him at kick returner and see if they could contribute there and be really good. I'm okay with Waddle returning punts. I am scared of the injury concerns, of course, but he's so dynamic, man. His punt returning capabilities might seal us 1 to 2 wins alone right there.
Matthew Rankin donates $10 to thanks to the content boys. Reason UG to a gang. Playoffs are sure next year. Waddle a yak beast. Also think Waddle can return punts if our beast defense can pin the opponent's back, but on short punts. All right. So since we're talking about wide receiver, PFF put out some pretty crappy quarterback rankings. Now they just put out that was so bro. How are you putting Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson? Was it Zach Wilson? I think it was Zach Wilson above Tua when they haven't even played it down yet. Like, give me a break with that one. Anyway, like it was Chris Sims working for PFF now. So they ranked all the 32 teams wide receiving corps. I just see one, Tampa Bay, which I don't think many of us are going to argue because it's absolutely disgusting. Klump's still sad we didn't get Antonio Brown, which I agree with them, would have been an absolute brilliant addition. They got the Dallas Cowboys at 2, and I think Gallup and CeeDee Lamb are the gems of that. I'm kind of been out on Amari Cooper for a couple years. They got KC at 3. They got the Buffalo Bills at 4. They got the Vikings at 5 with Thielen and Justin Jefferson leading the way. And that's, Denver, Cortland Sutton is now, he's healthy again. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, another guy I wanted last year.
I love KJ Hamler.
Yeah, he's a beast, bro. They got San Francisco with Debo and Brandon Ayuk in front of us. I don't know, that's kind of a reach.
I don't like Debo as a wide receiver either, honestly. He's more of like a gadget player.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp leading the Los Angeles Rams against us. I'm a huge Cooper Kupp fan. Robert Woods just isn't consistent enough for me. And then they got us at 9. Obviously with Will Fuller, Jaden Waddle, Devontae Parker, Lynn Bowden, Gesicki's named here.
No Albert Wilson.
I know. Well, no Preston Williams too. Durham Smythe, Adam Shane. I actually think our receiving core is deeper than some of these teams that are higher than us. Mm-hmm. I really honestly believe that, especially, I believe we're deeper than San Fran. I also think we're more talented than San Fran. I do agree Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are studs, but I think we're deeper than them in terms of when you get to like 3 to 6 or 7. Buffalo Bills, I'll give them the nod because, when you got Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis, Cole Beasley, and Stephon Diggs, and Isaiah McKenzie gave Nick Needham the work last year. I do think, obviously, Kansas City, I think you can make an argument they're deeper than us. I don't know if I would give the Dallas Cowboys deeper than us, but I would definitely say the Bucs are the best receiving corps in the NFL. Mm-hmm. What are your guys' thoughts on the Miami Dolphins being ranked as the number 9 receiving corps in the NFL? Do you think it's fair? Do you think we should be a little bit higher? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Sordi.
Okay. Honestly, so they have us at 9, and reason I agree with a lot of your takes on like as you're going down the list from 1 to 9, right? I think 9 probably feels pretty good. I just don't know about the teams above us, right? Like the Niners are not. I don't think their receiving core is better than ours. Let's be honest. Like you said, Debo. Like one of you guys said, Debo's kind of a gadget guy. Bringing Ayuk, I think, is going to be a really good player, but it hasn't been enough, right? Like he hasn't been in the league enough time. The Broncos at 6 feels pretty wild to me. I do know that Jeudy and Hamler, of course, have a bunch of potential, and Sutton. I really do like Sutton. I think he's a beast. With that being said, 6 feels a little high. They're kind of basing this projection off of like the potential they have more so than the actual on-field performance, in my opinion. I'm good with the Vikings. I'm good with the Bills. Good with the Chiefs. Cowboys, I think the Cowboys are better than our receiving core. I just think 2 is pretty high for them. And then obviously Bucs I'm okay with. There's 2 things I want to bring up here. Now, I think I'm good with the Rams. We might be a little bit better than him, just like depth-wise. That's a close one, though, because Cooper Kupp is such a beast. I love him. And I think Robert Woods isn't the most electric wide receiver, but he's pretty solid and consistent, right? Like he gets his yards, he gets his touches, man, or he gets his catches at least. Now, where I'm going with this is the rankings are a little interesting to me in a sense that I don't think they really value like the number one wide receiver on a team as much and how good they are, and the number two. And what I mean by that is like, honestly, dude, I'm looking at the Seahawks at number 10. I know their third wide receivers kind of
Lockett and
screwed.
DK? Come on, bro.
Dude, they're at 10. Come on, bro. You're going to put them at 10, man? Like,
Yeah, they're better than San Fran.
I think
Yeah.
tight end goes into their evaluation for some odd reason, which is kind of strange. Because like,
So-
Yeah, but don't they
mentioned-
have don't they have what's his face?
so are they including tight ends? I guess so.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
are.
I thought was
They're
weird. They said,
mentioning-
I know,
they're
right? They said
mentioning-
wide
yeah.
receiver, but I saw they mentioned tight ends in some of them, which is kind of strange.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did. Yeah, they did. Don't they have Don't they have?
Oh, they
what's
got
his
Gerald
face?
Everett.
Everett's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Everett's pretty solid.
I thought they had. Who's the guy? Oh man, okay, I'm gonna look it up. You guys,
Hollister?
Jacob Hollister.
Am I thinking Hollister? Anyways, you go. What was that guy who got hurt 2 years ago and he's blowing the league up?
Greg Olson?
Hollister. No, Hollister.
sorry.
Hollister.
No. It wasn't either or. Anyways,
who
I'll
you're
look it
talking
up. I'll tell you the name.
Oh,
Anyways,
Jesus
continue,
Christ.
Sordi.
I'm thinking of who you're talking about too, but to go on here, like I'm going down the list. I think everything else they have like makes sense. I'm pretty in line there, but bro, like, how do they have the Cardinals at 17, man? Like, don't you like Hopkins is top 3 or top 4? Don't you need to kind of weigh that accordingly? Like, if he's that good, bump them up from 17 at least. I'm not saying that they're better than ours, but I
Will
mean,
Disley. It was Disley.
Oh, Will
Disley.
Disley.
That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Remember
done.
the killing and
Achilles,
then he got
right?
hurt? Yeah.
Yeah.
Disley was
anyways,
popping
continue.
off for sure.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Larry Fitzgerald, he's on the way out. He's old as shit. He's on the way out, right? But if AJ Green kind of goes back to form, Christian Kirk is pretty solid, and you add Rondale Moore there, right? Like, I'm just that just shocked me. Like, I think they're better than 17. Like this, what I'm saying is this list is kind of ass, but I do feel like the Dolphins at 9 is pretty solid overall. I cannot complain about it. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to take it a different spin on why I think it's ass. I think the Dolphins are ranked pretty fairly, but I think that they ranked them a little higher than some teams for one reason. So that if Tua struggles, they're going to go back and say, he had the number 9 wide receiver corps. I think that all they're doing is setting themselves up to be complete assholes all season, in my opinion. Because honestly, the Dolphins, yes, they've added some good pieces. Will Fuller's injury prone, which I love Will Fuller. I think he's great, but like to trust him and count on him. Jalen Waddle's never played a snap. And then everyone else after that, like you can't trust any of those receivers. So 9 is honestly kind of high in my opinion. Like I would put the Seahawks above them. I'd put the Cardinals above them, like you said. So I think that they're just trying to set it up. I really do. Like I feel like a lot of these people do lists like this on purpose so that they can go back on it and really like, this is why he's not as good because we had him ranked here. I don't know. It's weird to me. You did forget to mention one thing though. You mentioned the Rams. They improved their wide receiver core. They did add my 9-month-old son, Tutu Atwell. He's eating peanut butter oatmeal now. He's starting to crawl. He just broke to 22 pounds, so I'm pretty excited about Tutu Atwell being in LA. So good for him. But I had to do that. Yeah, no, they did add Deshaun Jackson actually, though, which is pretty impressive for the 2 games he'll play. But they'll be good 2 games. So I don't know. I think it's a fair ranking. It's just I'm a little concerned that a lot of people they like act like Tua's not that good, and then they always try to like make everything better than it was for the Dolphins. Like, oh, his weapons weren't that bad. Oh, he had a great defense. His offensive line wasn't that bad. Like, I just feel like they set themselves up to really defend stuff, and it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I can just see Pro Football Focus does some weird stuff, dude. Like, they posted those quarterback rankings, and they purposely pick players, and they just don't like them. I truly believe that. Even someone like Carson Wentz, they had him pretty low on there, and some like players that are not better than him, obviously. Like they find their narrative on a player that they know gets them clicks, and they stick on it, which is obviously the Tua thing. And they've really, really stuck on the Tua one this offseason.
Let me ask you this, and it's a non-Dolphins question. Are you guys like? Am I the only one out of the 3 of us who's expecting Trevor Lawrence to not ball out by any means in his rookie year?
I don't know. I think he's gonna do solid because of Urban Meyer, man. Like his scheme is so
Take
quarterback.
the Gator homer out of you, bro.
No, dude. I kind of hate Urban Meyer. I'm like love hate with Urban Meyer. What he did to Florida was messed up. but his scheme is just so quarterback friendly that like I feel like he's gonna actually look better than he was, which is kind of annoying because people are gonna like blow it up like it's this great thing. I think he's gonna be solid, but I think his numbers will look a lot better than he was, just because, dude, look at Cardale Jones at Ohio State with Urban Meyer, right? Like, I don't know, they just that scheme, that Ryan Day that he took on then too, like it's so quarterback friendly that I think even with Travis Etienne as a wide receiver, like the little dump off passes that are going to be like he catches the snap and tosses it forward that are going to count for his yards and completion percentage and all that stuff. I think he's going to look a lot better than he was, honestly.
Personally, I mean, honestly, man, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to look pretty good. I've read one article this past during the offseason that was like, the offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell, he's not the greatest, don't get me wrong, but they were kind of bringing up a point. Russell Wilson really vouched for him too, how his offense was very QB friendly and like really showed them the ropes and kind of walked through things pretty effectively. And just like looking at the weapons that the Jaguars have, they're not the best weapons, of course, don't get me wrong, but if you kind of pair Etienne with James Robinson, and DJ Chark's a really good player, Marvin Jones is reliable, and if Laviska Shenault does kind of take that, that second year jump and pop off a little bit,
and I got my boy Josh Amatter-Bebe from Illinois.
Oh yeah, we were talking about him before the draft. Damn, I didn't even know they got him actually. Damn,
that's a UDFA.
He's an undrafted free agent. Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
That's awesome. I hope he makes a team that does good. I could see him do good, man. I could see him doing good. We'll see though. I mean, I'm not an Urban Meyer homer by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think he's a good football mind and a good coach, and he'll be able to get like the best out of Trevor Lawrence as a rookie.
And
I'm not trolling when I say this.
Klump lied to us because his real reason why is because Tim Tebow is going to show the ropes to Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, here we go.
Listen, I was just going to go there. I'm not trolling. No. This is actually a knock. I'm not.
I know you're not. I know you believe your lies.
I think that Trevor Lawrence's red zone touchdown numbers won't be as good as other rookie quarterbacks, because I don't know if you guys saw Ian Rappaport on Pat McAfee's show was interviewed. I think maybe it was yesterday or today. And they asked him, is Tim Tebow making the Jags? And he said, I think it's a lot higher than 50-50 than people give it credit for. Like, Tim Tebow's making the fucking Jags. He really is. And they said they're going to use him as the Taysom Hill red zone player, short yardage player. And I don't know if anyone just forgets this, but Tim Tebow, that's how he made a living at Florida. Dude, he caught a snap and ran 2 yards all the time. That's all he did. Like, powered the ball into the end zone. So I think that honestly will hurt Trevor Lawrence a little with him taking some touchdowns away from him. I think his touchdown numbers will be lower because of that.
Let me ask you this. Are you a bigger Dolphins fan or Gators fan?
Gators. I love the Gators. I like college football though. Well, see, this is what I like college football more than the NFL, because like college football is not a business. You know what I mean? Like these are kids trying to make a living. Yeah, true. But it's like kids making a living and stuff, and like trying to be better. Like the NFL is such a business where you can't get connected to anything. Like Carson Wentz was such an eye-opening experience for me, from when he got drafted to how they treated him at the end. It's like, dude, there's no reason to ever get attached to any player. That's what Dolphins fans shouldn't really be as attached as they are to Tua, because, dude, if he struggles, they could just get rid of him. Teams don't give a shit, dude. They'll get rid of all these players. They don't care about them. And it's kind of eye-opening for me. I just don't really like the NFL as much as college football. That's what it comes down to. I love college football. I love the recruiting process, and I love how they get the 5-star kids who are like 18 years old making big plays in college football with like 80,000 people watching. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm definitely more of a Florida fan than anything. Okay.
All right, boys. We are about to hit an hour 45. I've taken up probably too much of your time already because it's 11:15. Let's get some final thoughts from you guys. Sordi, let's start with you, buddy.
Final thoughts. This is for everyone listening. Anyone who might be listening tonight or tomorrow. Let's not give these clickbaiters and these blue check marks who just need engagement like any more clout than we already do. I mean, if it's a genuine criticism, that's fair. I think we should engage with it. But like the Colin Cowards and the Joy Taylors of the world who are just trying to get a rise out of us, maybe we shouldn't be so quick to engage with these people, because they're doing it to get a rise and they're doing it to get clicks. And I'm not in the business of putting money in anyone else's pockets. Other than that, Tua is going to be fine. Let's all take a deep breath. Let him have his first training camp, his actual first preseason, where he'll actually be throwing to guys a little bit more efficiently and like regularly. And yeah, other than that, fins up, baby.
The only pockets Sordi fills are his bookies.
There we go.
All right. Klump, let's get some final thoughts, buddy. And also, sorry, Sordi, go ahead and plug the podcast because I'm going to ask Klump to pause.
Gotcha.
To plug his stuff too.
All right. So the sporadic Fins or Die podcast, when I don't know when the next episode is going to be, it's literally just go on Spotify, type in Fins or Die. The podcast will be there. Listen in. Maybe I'll put an episode up pretty soon. If things start coming up that makes you want to talk, I'll do it. I'll bring both of you guys on, and we'll have fun, and we can talk about things other than the Miami Dolphins.
Bro, we were supposed to do a post-draft pod, and you just were like, oh, I don't like the picks. Fuck these guys.
Yeah, that's what it was. I wanted to trade up for Justin Fields. That's what it was. So I was all pissed off and salty,
Oh man, dude!
All right,
Fins or Die is a ride, man. He asked some weird questions. My poor wife had to listen to those. That was just I hate you for that. But final thoughts. I guess I'm going to kind of touch off what Sordi said, and something that I've been trying to get across on Dolphins Twitter. And maybe sometimes I'm not the best at saying it lightly or nicely, but like all these Tua stands that defend him with honor, no matter what's said about him, all they're doing is making Tua haters do it more. Trust me. I have been working in the media since, I don't even know, 2014, 2015. When you see a trend like this, people know it makes them money and they will nonstop do it because they know it pisses you off. And the more you keep tweeting about how great Tua is going to be, the more they're going to keep saying he sucks. So, I think we should start focusing on Matt Skuro maybe getting injured, the offensive line. Are they going to progress? Receivers we talked about tonight. How many tight ends? I think we should try to get the trend of Dolphins Twitter topics away from Tua because honestly, it's draining. It's so draining talking about Tua every day. And there's so many more storylines for the Dolphins. Even something as simple as the kick returner. That's an intriguing storyline we should be talking about. So let's stop talking about Tua as much. And honestly, my last thing I'm going to say is I just feel so horrible for Preston Williams. Honestly, Sordi is the biggest hater there is. And you guys should all tweet at him and let him know, he is such a piece of shit for all the shit he talked on Preston Williams. Dude, this guy hates Preston Williams, biggest Preston Williams hater on Dolphins Twitter. Make sure you tweet at him and tell him he's an asshole for it, and that'll make me feel a lot better because it's messed up. It really is. Yeah,
he doesn't call ever in our chat. Whenever he talks about Preston, he doesn't call him glitch. He calls him that bitch. So let Preston know what's up, guys. Ratio Sordi now.
Let's all put L's under next. Every Sordi tweet now, everyone reply.
I got a rebuttal. You guys, what you guys think is going to happen is tomorrow there's going to be this big charge against me. I'm going to send out a tweet that's going to frame it so well. I'm going to have all of Dolphins Twitter on my side, and they're going to be saying "fuck Preston Williams" by the end of Friday night.
Oh,
so be ready.
He's all he's going to tweet is, "I think Preston Williams doesn't make Tua better," and everyone's going to be like, "I agree, he's right." Fuck Preston Williams.
Yeah. No, he's going to say Preston Williams was one of the leaks talking to Armando saying we don't believe in this kid, and then it's over. And then it's over, buddy.
GG.
Preston's out. First Uber out of Miami. He's on it. All right, boys. I will be back tomorrow night with EM. We got a topic we're going to discuss. We'll go over that. And then on Sunday, I'll be doing my Hunter Long prospect preview. On Tuesday, I'll be back with Alex Rollins, and we'll talk about his latest video where he broke down a bunch of Tua Tagovailoa film and his reasons why he thought Tua struggled. And then next Wednesday, TD Fins Talk will be on here. Ball Game will be on here. And we're still making sure EM will be here too. But all right, guys, we got a lot of content coming over the next week. Until next time, hope you all stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And it's Fins up all day, every day, even over the Gators. And I'm a